Lesson 12.3, my friends, it is nature shaping a worldview. Our question that we're going to answer, in what ways can the natural environment influence religious practices and values? So stick around and let's learn something. Nature shaping a worldview. This is lesson 12.3. In this lesson, we are going to learn the ways the natural environment influence religious practices and values, because it can definitely do that. So we're going to get started. Nature. It's all around us. You can't escape it. We've talked about this before, how our geography determines who we are. As an identity, it also determines how we interact with nature. And part of nature is the water, the land, mountains, forests, and all of that combined will help us shape our identity. And when we think of Japan, we think of the beauty that exists within Japan. You've seen lots of pictures of Japan, and it is a very beautiful place. That's because the Japanese take great pride in their natural landscape. They often will have celebrations and rituals at the changing of the seasons. It's very common. Their most common festival will be the Cherry Blossom Festival. You can see here on the picture that I have, these are cherry blossoms. Absolutely beautiful. And it's central in the Japanese identity because those cherry blossoms represented there, we have new beginnings. So things are new again. It's springtime. It's very beautiful. You can see here on the picture. And it also shows us and shows the Japanese the shortness that exists in beauty and in life. And even though sometimes things may seem like it's taking a long time or it feels like forever, really there is a shortness in there. The Ainu. We've got the Ainu on our vocabulary list, and most of us don't know who the Ainu are, but the Ainu are the First Nations of Japan. Canada and the United States are not the only ones who have First Nations. Japan has them as well. So do many other countries. And like our First Nations, the Ainu of Japan, nature had a very central role in their culture. Fire, water, wind, thunder, animals, plants, all of that was seen as being lowercase gods called Kamu or Kami. I'm saying that wrong. I guarantee you I'm saying that wrong. And these gods would visit the earthly world. In the list of their gods, the brown bear is going to be the most important. According to their legend and their teachings, the brown bear will be most important. And they view the four elements: earth, fire, air, and water. Earth, wind, and fire, not the band, but the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water are honored by the Ainu. Now, our question at the beginning is about the influence religious practices have on our values because of nature. And for Japanese culture, the ancient Japanese religion is going to be Shinto, the way of the spirits. And nature is central in Shintoism, and the belief is that sacred spirits called kami take the form of objects in nature. So we have mountains, we have trees, stones, water, whatever, they take on nature forms. Amaterasu, who we heard in the previous lesson, was the most important of the secret or sacred spirits, I should say, of the kami. And in Shintoism, it's believed that once a human dies, they become kami after death. And the Japanese hold a number of different festivals. Matsuri are what the festivals are called, to celebrate the kami and to please the kami, and a reason to have celebrations. There is no founder when it comes to Shintoism, and there's also no laws, no religious laws. that exist, like what we see in other religions. And how Shintoism or Shinto developed was borrowing of aspects from Buddhism and Confucianism. Together, the Japanese, and we saw this in the previous lesson, they picked and choose, they borrowed, and they made their own, and that's the development of Shinto. Now, nature, we love nature. Go on a nature walk if you get a chance and just enjoy being outside. But sometimes nature can work against us. There's always a dark side of nature. We know that Japan is located where tectonic plates meet, and they are often prone to earthquakes because these plates are shifting. And every couple of decades, a major earthquake does hit Japan. Because of that, tsunamis are very common, and that's going to present its own challenges. But outside of earthquakes, there's other dark sides of nature, like typhoons. These violent tropical storms that happen in the in the summer and the fall. So there's a constant fear of nature, and there is always a possibility of disaster striking Japan. And this has made the people very stoic. They've learned to adapt. They've learned to be able to start over and rebuild when disaster strikes. And that is a theme that is central to Japanese life. You can see on the timeline right here, you can see the many dark sides of nature that have taken place. So in 1640, we've got tsunamis. 1741, a tsunami again, volcano, earthquake, tsunami, earthquake, typhoons, earthquakes after earthquake do hit and devastate Japan. And they not quickly, but they are able to adapt and they are able to rebuild. So as I'm talking here, you can just run through this list on this timeline that's here, and using your background knowledge, actually. Okay, this one ends here in 1995. I stole this from the textbook, but you can even place other major natural events that have taken place and affected Japan after 1995. I'm sure that you know probably at least of one other major natural event that took place not too long ago. All right, I want you to head over to your notebooks and complete the questions for this part of the chapter.